refrain neem face wash, pimple free, healthy skin का expert.
Former Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe assassinated, assailant arrested. Prime Minister Narendra Modi mourns demise of Japan's longest-serving Prime Minister. One-day mourning announced in India. Bodies of 2 Tamil youths killed are yet to be returned. Family members, locals getting restless. District authorities hold meet. Row over Meghalaya BJP minister's attack on speaker and UDP leader gets bigger. Action to be taken against BJP MLA indicates Chief Minister Conrad Sangma. Sikkim government releases fresh COVID notification following rise in cases. Mask made mandatory once again in Himalayan states. Another non-local shot dead in Manipur. Incident under Andhra police station in state's Imphal East district. No group claims responsibility for incident yet. And Tripura Chief Minister Manik Saha finally takes oath as MLA. Saha expresses confidence of BJP clean sweep in 2023 assembly polls. Hello and welcome to Evening Prime. I am Pooja and we start the bulletin with a big political story from Meghalaya. Well, the row between 2 coalition partners of the ruling MDA, the UDP and the BJP has got bigger, with Chief Minister Conrad Sangma indicating that action may be taken against the BJP MLA and Minister Sanbor Shulai, who had allegedly intervened in an inappropriate manner when Speaker Medba Lindog was expressing some concerns to NDA presidential candidate Draupadi Murmu. Chief Minister Sangma said that the behavior of Sanbor Shulai was inappropriate, especially in front of a presidential candidate. Chief Minister Sangma said that he has taken note of the incident and will take appropriate action on it. Chief Minister Sangma, however, dismissed reports of rift within the MDA coalition. Now, before we listen to what Chief Minister Conrad Sangma has said on the entire episode, let's find out what had actually happened on the day Draupadi Murmu held a meeting with MDA coalition partners in Shillong. Well, as per reports, UDP leader and Speaker Medba Lindog had raised the issue of alleged atrocities against Christians and urged Murmu to ensure that such incidents do not occur. BJP legislator Sanbor Shulai, however, immediately reacted and intervened, stating that no such incidents were taking place. The abrupt intervention was noticed by everyone, and the state BJP has termed it as a slip of tongue. Now let's listen into how Chief Minister Conrad Sangma has reacted to the entire incident.
You as the chairman of the MDA to take action against the cabinet minister Sanbor Shulai for his alleged unruly behavior towards the assembly speaker. What do you have to say on this?
So I had met the Honorable Speaker this afternoon, and when this incident happened, I was present. The Honorable Speaker had raised certain concerns which were related to issues concerning many sections of society, and very genuine issues were being raised. And it's appropriate in front of a presidential candidate to raise this issue because she would be at a position in the near future to be able to keep those issues in mind and take appropriate action. So it was very appropriate for the Honorable Speaker to raise those concerns. But while those concerns were being raised, there was a reaction from one of the MLAs, Mr. Sanbor Shulai from the BJP. And in an occasion or in a meeting like that, where they are garnering support for their candidature, and being a BJP candidature or BJP nominated candidature, it would have been appropriate for, or I would say, it was not appropriate for the reaction that we saw that day by the honourable minister and the honourable minister. So it was a very inappropriate behaviour. I have to add to that. That it was not correct, especially in front of the presidential candidate. It did not look nice to do that. So UDP was obviously in its, in support of the president. They had that meeting yesterday. As I said, I had met the honourable speaker, and he had also communicated me about the meeting that they had. And so I told him that definitely I've taken note of this, and as and when we move forward, and we will take appropriate action as and when it's necessary. So I give him assurance that I will definitely look into that.
So, what sort of action are we looking at?
So let's see, we'll wait and see.
So do you think the MDA here made a mistake? And first, before issues were being raised in this meeting at least of the MDA should have been carried out, what issues to be aired towards the
You
president?
see, it is not an MDA support. It's a support by every individual party. Every individual party has MLAs, and therefore they were asked and they were called by the BJP separately. I was called there as the NPP president and as the MLA of the NPP. Similarly, the UDP MLAs were called by the president of the BJP, Mr. Mauri, as the UDP. So therefore, each individual party was called, and so therefore the question of re-raising issue as an MDA was not there, because right now this is an election, and each party has the right to raise their concerns. And as I said, there are no problems and issues in raising concerns, because this is the highest office in the country, and it is appropriate for us as voters for that particular election to raise our concerns, and that's what the honourable speaker, as the UDP president, has done. And I think of course, the actions were very important.
Another question is being raised: why did the chief minister, the leader of the MDA, not take appropriate action or take notice of the incident immediately then, and why wait for UDP to raise it during the meeting yesterday?
So in fact, I have raised this issue and concern. I cannot discuss right now on what way it is done, but UDP has done it, and I have also already shared with honourable speaker what concerns me. So that's it. And I think beyond that, I will not be able to share the details.
So does this incident indicate that all is not well within the MDA?
I don't think so. One individual has raised a concern, or one individual has stood up when the speaker spoke. It happens. But as I said, the moment and the timing and the presence of the people who were there was inappropriate to have raised it. Otherwise, there have been many incidents where we can raise concerns and we argue, we debate, we don't agree on decisions together. That's how coalition works. And since we are in different parties, it's a natural process for coalition to discuss and to debate and to argue on many things. But we've always come to the conclusion that whatever the debates take place, we will always be together, and that's how it's been.
So, a big political story from Meghalaya, viewers. The row between two coalition partners of the ruling MDA, the UDP and the BJP, has got bigger, with Chief Minister Conrad Sangma indicating that action may be taken against the BJP MLA and Minister Sanbor Shulai, who had allegedly intervened in an inappropriate manner when Speaker Metba Lindong was expressing some concerns to NDA presidential candidate Draupadi Murmu. And shifting focus to a big story from Moray now, there is still no response from the Myanmar side on the return of the bodies of two youths killed at Tamu in neighboring country. Family members and locals are getting restless as they await the handing over of the bodies. As per latest inputs, the local SP along with DIG Range 2, Manipur, have called on the family members of the two victims to discuss the situation. Two local Tamil youths, P. Mohan and M. Ayanar, were shot dead in Tamu on Monday when they had apparently gone to attend a birthday party in the area. And since then, protests have broken out in Moray demanding the immediate handing over of the bodies. It's a big story at this point in time, viewers. There is still no response from the Myanmar side on the return of the bodies of two youths killed at Tamu in neighboring country. Family members and locals are getting restless as they await the handing over of the bodies. And as per latest inputs, the local SP along with DIG Range 2, Manipur, have called on the family members of the two victims to discuss the situation. Two local Tamil youths, P. Mohan and M. Ayyanar, were shot dead in Damoh on Monday when they had apparently gone to attend a birthday party in the area. And since then, protests have broken out in Moray demanding the immediate handing over of the bodies. All right, our Chief of Bureau, Arindam Das, joins us over the phone line to give us the details on this big development. Well, Arindam, bodies yet to be handed over. Uncertainty looms large. So what are the latest updates that you have?
Yes, Pooja, it has been day 5 since two Tamil youths from border town Moray went missing in Samo in Myanmar. Apparently, they have been shot dead by a militia group led by Myanmar army junta. And ever since Monday, these youths come to Samo in Myanmar, the bodies of these youths are yet to be returned to the Indian authorities. In fact, an uneasy calm prevails in the entire Moray town. We have seen protests in the last couple of days, and that's why the DIG of that range is camping himself in that area to monitor the situation. In fact, the DC and FC of Technopole district are also camping in that area. And today, the DIG of Range 2 of Manipur, along with the DC and FC of Technopole district, went to meet the family members of these two Tamil youths who were shot dead in Samo in Myanmar. But so far, we haven't got any confirmation or any communication from the Myanmar authorities. Efforts are on physical diplomatic channels to establish contacts with the Myanmar authorities and to get back the bodies to India. But so far, the response from the Myanmar authorities has not been positive. And that's why an uneasy calm prevails in the entire Moray town in Manipur. And we can only say that the family members are right now turning restless. And in fact, the entire Moray town right now wants to know as to what is the fate of the bodies of these two youths who have gone to Samo last Monday and it returned, and apparently they were shot dead in Samo in Myanmar. So right now, the situation is tense in Moray, and that's why the DIG, the SP, and the DC are camping in that area and right now making the family members to discuss the entire scenario.
Right, Arindam, though the family members and locals were visited, as per the latest input, the local SP along with the DIG range to Manipur visited the family members of the two youths and given them the information and discussed the entire situation. But exactly, the family members and locals are getting restless as they await the handing over of the bodies at this point in time.
You see, it has been a big suspense now as to what is the fate of the bodies of these two youths who were apparently shot dead by militia groups led by Myanmar army junta. So they want to know about the fate of these bodies because there are certain speculations in the rounds. There are certain reports which are coming that bodies probably have been burned down, but there is no official confirmation on it. So based on this speculation, based on these reports, there are border town Moray, along with the family members, are getting restless to know the fate of the bodies. But as I had mentioned earlier, that so far the response of the Myanmar authorities has been negative, and they are not getting, the Indian authorities are not getting any positive response from the Myanmar authorities. So efforts are right now underway with diplomatic channels to bring back the bodies. Yeah.
And Arindam, after so much of efforts by the local authorities, what do you think? What could be the reason that the Myanmar side is tight-lipped?
Well, as I had mentioned, there are certain speculations, there are certain reports in the rounds that the bodies of these two youths have been burned down by the Myanmar side. But there is no official confirmation on it, but there is definitely something which has been hidden about this entire.
All right. Thank you, Arindam, for giving us those details at this point in time. All right, staying with Manipur, another non-local has been shot dead in the state, and this time in the Imphal East district. The victim has been identified as Shailendra. The victim, a grocery shop owner, was shot on the head and died on the spot. So another big development coming in from the state of Manipur, viewers. Another non-local has been shot dead in the state, this time in the Imphal East district. Well, the victim has been identified as a Shailendra, and the victim, a grocery shop owner, was shot on the head and died on the spot. So at this point in time, no group has claimed responsibility for the entire incident. Another non-local shot dead in Manipur. Incident happened under Andhra Police Station in state's Imphal East district. No group has claimed responsibility for the entire incident yet. All right, my colleague Sharat Chandra joins us over the phone line to give us an update on this story. Well, Sharat, as one was just coming out of one incident, another non-local has been shot dead in the state, and this time the victim has been identified as Shailendra, a grocery shop owner. So what more details do you have with you?
Pooja, this victim has been identified as Shailendra. He's from Bihar, and he's not the grocery shop owner, but he's a grocery item supplier at the area. At present, he's staying at the Ragailong area in Imphal, and he's from Bihar. And yes, you have rightly mentioned that this is not a past incident that targeting this non-local. Earlier, we have witnessed Wangjing incident also in the month of May this year. That the labor staying inside the camp who engaged in the construction work taking place at the Wangjing area in the Thawal district, the IED was planted at the campsite. And again, we have witnessed this Mason labor that got killed by this unknown miscreants who fired indiscriminately at the rented house where they stayed. That incident again happened at the construction area, and this time today afternoon at around 4:20, this regular grocery item supplier at the Andro area, presently staying at the Ragailong, and who actually hailed from the Bihar. He was shot dead by the unknown miscreants, and according to this police report, he sustained a 2-bullet injury at his head and died at the spot. So it is again very unfortunate incident taking place. Seems like targeting non-locals, Pooja.
Sharat, what could be the reason? Any update on that? Is a rivalry a reason? One kind of reason can we say?
No reason. You see, such a heinous crime, I think no one can give the reason, because this is such a crime. I think every right-thinking citizen of the country, of the state, should condemn at the highest term. And yes, looking into some of the incidents that happen across the state, in Thawal district, in Kaksing district, and today very latest one is from Andro district. Andro area comes under the Imphal East. This is the outskirts of this Imphal East, around 30 to 35 kilometers from Imphal, and it is clear indication, clear crime targeting the non-locals in Manipur, Pooja.
All right. Thank you, Sharat, for giving us those details at this point in time. All right, viewers, we'll continue with the regional and national news, but right now, moving on to the big international story. Well, former Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe is no more. Well, Abe, who was shot in the city of Nara while taking part in an election campaign earlier in the day, was declared dead by doctors. Abe had collapsed during the speech in the city of Nara in western Japan after he was shot at by an assailant with a shotgun. A critically injured Abe was soon rushed to the Nara Medical University Hospital in Kashihara City. Meanwhile, the suspected shooter, identified as 41-year-old Yamagami Tetsuya, has been arrested by police. Abe was making the speech when Tetsuya shot him twice from behind. According to Nara Emergency Services, Abe was wounded on the right side of his neck and left clavicle. It may be mentioned here that the assassination of the country's best-known politician comes despite Japan's strict gun laws and with campaigning underway ahead of the upper house elections on Sunday. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has declared a one-day national mourning to condole Abe's demise. All right, so former Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe is no more. Well, Abe, who was shot in the city of Nara, while taking part in an election campaign earlier in the day, was declared dead by doctors. Abe had collapsed during the speech in the city of Nara in western Japan after he was shot at by an assailant with a shotgun. A critically injured Abe was soon rushed to the Nara Medical University Hospital in Kashihara City. Meanwhile, the suspected shooter, identified as 41-year-old Yamagami Tetsuwa, has been arrested by police. Abe was making the speech when Tetsuwa shot him twice from behind. According to Nara Emergency Services, Abe was wounded on the right side of his neck and left clavicle. Well, it may be mentioned here that the assassination of the country's best-known politician comes despite Japan's strict gun laws and with campaigning underway ahead of the upper house elections on Sunday. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Narendra Modi had declared one-day national mourning to condole Abe's demise.
そういう判断をした。彼はできない理由を考えた場合。
Well, now, who killed Shinzo Abe and why? This is the big question doing rounds as the police arrested the attacker of the former Japanese Prime Minister. In a country where gun violence is rare, the murder of former Japanese leader Shinzo Abe is raising big questions about the shooter and his motive. So, what actually happened today? Well, Abe had just begun a campaign speech in the western city of Nara when he was shot from behind from a distance of about 3 meters or 10 feet. 2 gunshots were heard. Moments later, security personnel tackled a man to the floor. He was wearing a t-shirt, khaki trouser, and a face mask. The gunman has been identified as Tetsuwa Yamagami, a 41-year-old former member of Japan Maritime Self-Defense Force, or Japan's Navy. Now, Japan's NHK reported that he worked for the force from 2002 to 2005. The arrested man told police that he was frustrated with Abe and had planned to kill him. But he claimed not to have attacked the former prime minister over his political beliefs. NHK reported that the gun had been homemade and a close-up shot of the weapon on the ground after the shooting appeared to show 2 tubes wrapped together with black tape. So, biggest questions are doing rounds at this point in time over the killing of Shinzo Abe and rounds as the police arrested the attacker of former Japanese Prime Minister. In a country where gun violence is rare, the murder of former Japanese leader Shinzo Abe is raising big questions about the shooter and his motive. So, what actually happened today? Well, Abe had just begun a campaign speech in the western city of Nara when he was shot from behind from a distance of about 3 meters or 10 feet. 2 gunshots were heard.
銃声が2回聞こえた後、男が SP とみられる男性たちに取り押さえられました。
Well, moments later, security personnel tackled a man to the floor and he was wearing a t-shirt, khaki trouser and a face mask. Well, the gunman has been identified as Tetsuya Yamagami, a 41-year-old former member of Japan Maritime Self-Defense Force, or Japan's Navy. Well, Japan's NHK reported that he worked for the force from 2002 to 2005. The arrested man told police that he was frustrated with Abe and had planned to kill him. But he claimed not to have attacked the former prime minister over his political beliefs. NHK reported that the gun had been homemade and a close-up shot of the weapon on the ground after the shooting appeared to show 2 tubes wrapped together with black tape.
銃声が2回聞こえた後、男が SP とみられる男性たちに取り押さえられました。近くの路上には黒いテープのようなものが巻き付けられたものが落ちていました。銃声が2回聞こえた後、男が
And we have reactions coming in from the medical team, which was monitoring Shinzo Abe's condition. Let's listen in.
Please understand that the gun has penetrated the heart. Yes, at the point of transport to the hospital, there were no vital signs. And the doctor has also transported him, and during that time, there were no vital signs as well. It was extremely serious, and grave conditions was very grave.
Basically, we tried to stop the bleeding and also conduct blood transfusion. We could not confirm the bullet. I think that we might find out later, but during the surgery, we were not able to find the bullet or bullets. Because the wound reached the heart, and the heart was damaged, causing bleeding.
All right, so former Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe assassinated today, and the assailant has been arrested. Prime Minister Narendra Modi mourns demise of Japan's longest-serving Prime Minister. And now let's take a glimpse at the life of Japan's longest-serving Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, known for his Abenomics policy, who was shot dead this afternoon while making a campaign speech. Take a look. Shinzo Abe, born on 21st September 1954 in Tokyo, Japan, to Shintaro Abe and Yoko Abe, was the longest-serving Prime Minister of Japan. Abe was born to a well-known political family that exercised substantial economic influence in pre-Second World War, Second World War, and post-Second World War in Japan. Shinzo Abe was a conservative who has frequently been referred to as a right-wing nationalist in Japan. The economic policies of Abe's government, which further pursued fiscal stimulus, monetary easing, and structural reforms in the nation, made his time as Prime Minister of Japan famous on a global scale. Shinzo Abe went to Seikei Junior and Senior High School, as well as Seikei Elementary School. After pursuing further studies in public administration, he earned a Bachelor of Political Science degree from Seikei University in 1977. Shinzo Abe eventually relocated to the United States and spent 3 semesters studying public policy at the School of Policy, Planning and Development at the University of Southern California. In April 1979, he began working at Kobe Steel and he eventually departed the organization in 1982. Shinzo Abe pursued a number of posts in the government, such as Executive Assistant to the Foreign Affairs Minister, Private Secretary to the Secretary General of the Liberal Democratic Party, and Private Secretary to the Chairperson of the LDP General Council. In 1987, Abe married Aki Matsuzaki, a socialite and former radio DJ. She is the daughter of the CEO of chocolate producer Morinaga. She opened an organic izakaya in Tokyo's Kanda neighborhood after her husband's first term as prime minister, but she was not actively involved in administration. Due to unsuccessful fertility treatments earlier in their marriage, the couple was childless. And if we talk about Abe's political career, in 1993, Shinzo Abe was elected to Japan's House of Representatives. In 1999, Abe became the director of Committee on Health and Welfare and also director of the Liberal Democratic Party's Social Affairs Division. From 2000 to 2003, Shinzo Abe served as the Deputy Chief Cabinet Secretary of the Liberal Democratic Party. From 2005 to 2006, Abe continued as the Chief Secretary of the LDP. In 2006, Shinzo Abe became the Prime Minister of Japan for the first time. But on September 12, 2007, he submits his resignation, citing health problem. However, in 2012, Shinzo Abe won a runoff leadership elections for the leadership of the Liberal Democratic Party and was re-elected the Prime Minister of Japan on December 26 in the same year. Shinzo Abe again saw a resounding victory in a snap election on 22nd of October 2017. And on August 28, 2020, Shinzo Abe finally stepped down as the Prime Minister of Japan after tenure of 8 years as the Prime Minister of Japan. News Desk Report, Northeast Live. And while Shinzo Abe was a charismatic leader who was committed to deepening Japan's ties with India, Shinzo Abe is widely hailed as a friend of India whose tenure saw the bilateral ties gain new strength and depth. Moreover, Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Shinzo Abe shared a personal chemistry and had a convergence of views, which was apparent. Now, this bilateral relationship was elevated to special strategic and global partnership in 2014, the year Modi assumed charge as the Prime Minister of India. In 2014, Abe became the first Japanese Prime Minister to be chief guest at the Republic Day Parade. He also visited India in December 2015 and September 2017 and accelerated the pace of bilateral ties. It was under Abe's leadership that India and Japan finally decided to sign the Civil Nuclear Pact in 2016. Prime Minister Modi has, quite in a number of instances, referred to him as dear friend. And having known Abe since he was Gujarat Chief Minister, Prime Minister Narendra Modi chose Japan for his first bilateral visit outside the neighborhood in September 2014 in recognition of the significance India attaches to its ties with Japan. Well, China's actions on the border also brought India and Japan closer, and they have embarked on joint connectivity projects, including Asia-Africa Growth Corridor. And today, Prime Minister Narendra Modi condoled the demise of former Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. While calling Abe as one of his dearest friends, Prime Minister Modi said that Abe was a towering global statesman, an outstanding leader, and a remarkable administrator. And in one of a rather emotional post, Prime Minister Modi, while posting his picture with Abe, wrote, and I quote, "Little did I know that this would be our last meeting. My heartfelt condolences to his family and the Japanese people," unquote. With that, we take a short break. Stay tuned for more news.
Railway yard where this massive landslide took place. There was a camp of the Territorial Army. There were camps of the railway. The landslide started and it came down all the way and it went down furthermore many meters down to the None River. Officials of the NDRF, SDRF, and also the local people who are carrying out the search and rescue operations.
The Shillong Pamai, he's the exact person just lead the rescue operation from this side. This is Saroi Pandongba village. This is a river side on the Saroi Pandongba side.
हम और आप कभी नहीं सोच सकते थे कि डिमा हाथों में इस तरह का न्यू हाफलोंग रेलवे स्टेशन इतना कुछ हो सकता है और इसी रेलवे स्टेशन में विस्ताडून जैसा ट्रेन यहाँ पर स्पेशल टूरिस्ट आने जाने के लिए भी यहाँ पे रिसेंटली चलाया दिया गया।
You can see the people are trying. The local people are trying to help each other.
A university is much more than just a place to get your education. It not only helps you build your career, but also your personality and mindset. At Assam Royal Global University, you will get the most suitable environment to gain knowledge and also grow as a person. The university has the best infrastructure with all the required facilities and best quality equipment for any kind of educational need.
Welcome back and on to the big story from Sikkim now. COVID cases in the Himalayan state continue to rise with 29 fresh cases reported in the last 24 hours. With this, the number of active cases in the last few days have crossed the 100 mark. In the wake of the situation, the state government has made it mandatory for people to wear masks. Well, through a fresh notification issued today, Sikkim's Home Department has made mandatory for the people to wear masks. Apart from that, some other restrictions like social distancing, screening and hand washing, penalty for spitting in public places, among others, are also being enforced again. It may be mentioned here that COVID-19 cases in Sikkim has crossed the century mark. The active COVID cases in Sikkim now stands at 101 with 29 new cases detected in the last 24 hours. Meanwhile, the positivity rate stands at 16%. The state became COVID-free in the month of May since the arrival of the pandemic. Now, what's concerning here is that it has only taken a couple of months for the viral infection to shoot up from 0 to 100. Meanwhile, the worrisome surge in COVID-19 cases have caused the general public of Sikkim to pin the blame on the recent tourist season and the blatant disregard of COVID-appropriate behavior in the state. And on to a big story from Manipur now. Well, a fresh tragedy has been reported from the state, and this time in Churachandpur district. At least 2 persons died and 4 others sustained injuries as a landslide swept away a passenger vehicle along a Tipaimok road at the Santing area of Churachandpur district. As per reports, as many as 12 persons were on board the public transport vehicle when the incident took place. Initial reports say that a landslide occurred when the driver started the vehicle after clearing tree branches which blocked the road. The landslide swept away the vehicle, which plunged into a deep gorge. On hearing the news, locals from nearby areas rushed to the spot and began rescue operations. All right, we have a breaking news at this point in time, viewers. A massive cloud burst has been reported from Amarnath Cave Shrine. The cloud burst has triggered a flash floods in the cave shrine. And in the shocking visuals coming in, you can see that tents and langars being washed away. So far, 2 pilgrims have been confirmed to be dead, and as many as 25 langars at the site have been affected, while many have been completely washed away by flash floods triggered by the cloudburst. Meanwhile, a rescue operation is underway by NDRF, SDRF, and other associate agencies. So breaking news at this point in time, viewers, a massive cloudburst has been reported from Amarnath Cave Shrine. The cloudburst has triggered a flash floods in the cave shrine. And in the shocking visuals coming in, you can see that tents and langars being washed away. So far, 2 pilgrims have been confirmed to be dead. As many as 25 langars at the site have been affected, while many have been completely washed away by flash floods triggered by cloudburst. Meanwhile, rescue operation is underway by NDRF, SDRF, and other associated agencies. Back to region again, with the results for the high school leaving certificate examinations conducted by the Board of Secondary Education Manipur was declared today. A total of 39,233 students appeared the Class 10 exams 2022, of which 29,814 emerged successful, making it a pass percentage of over 76%. Rahul Laishram of Catholic School, Kanchipur, emerged topper with a score of 586 marks. Nomaithem Dhanajit of Heritage Convent, Uripok, was second with 585 marks. Manipur Education Minister T.H. Vasantakumar Singh released the results.
Pass percentage class 10 examination under Board of Secondary Education Manipur, this time 76%. As compared to previous year, recent year, it is a percentage very high, sir. Do you feel satisfied, sir?
Yes, I'm extremely satisfied because our students, for whom we are working in the department for their welfare, when we have come to know that they have done so well. The maximum number of students have passed the examination, not only toppers, but maximum number of students have passed the exam, so they can get on to the next level of their education. I'm very happy to know this because the increase in percentage means that people are becoming more aware of the importance of education in our daily lives as well as in our future life, that without education we cannot progress, we cannot develop.
It's a very good news, sir. Also very happy moment for students, also for parents, also, sir. Sir, 76% is the pass percentage, sir. Sir, when we talk about getting these children to the higher class, that is 11th, sir, what challenges are you are going to have, sir? Because Each and every students, they are trying to get admissions out here, sir. So very. So how we are going to take all these things, sir?
No, we have always kept it in mind that after the passing percentage increases, there will be a demand for admission. So we have made enough adequate arrangements to ensure that all the students who have passed class 10 should be encouraged to take admission in class 11. And when they take admission in class 11, we'll ensure that all of them get an opportunity to get admission in some higher secondary school or college, wherever applicable, as much as possible.
Another psycho belief, sir, for parents and for students.
Yes, yes.
Very right. Yes, this time pass percentage is very high so far as a class and examination and school living certificate examination by Board of Secondary Education Manipur is concerned. But yes, Education Minister T.H. Basant Kumar Singh, he assured that for admission there will be no problem. Adequate arrangement has been made from the state government side. With Bidodan Strawson, this is Sarah Chandra reporting for North Live from Imphal.
And on to Tripura now. Well, Chief Minister Dr. Manik Saha, who won in the by-elections last month, was today sworn in as the member of Tripura Legislative Assembly. Chief Minister Saha, who was elected by a margin of over 6,000 votes in the town Bordowali Assembly constituency by-election, was administered oath of office by Speaker Ratan Chakraborty at the Assembly lobby this afternoon. Notably, this will be Dr. Saha's first ever experience as a legislator. Speaking to reporters after the swearing-in ceremony, Tripura Chief Minister Manik Saha appeared confident of better results for the BJP in 2023 elections. Chief Minister Saha further said that in the by-election, Jubraj Nagar, which is considered the stronghold of communists, voted for BJP, seeing the development. Chief Minister Saha also added that the said development is BJP's main agenda and would continue to do so in 2023.
भी बताया था जो विक्ट्री मस्ट है, विक्ट्री मिला भी है और आपने कहा स्पेक्टेकुलर जो भी हो, स्पेक्टेकुलर हो जो भी हो, हम तो जीते हैं उस हिसाब से आज तो इसीलिए शपथ लिए हैं और 2023 में भी वैसे ही होगा और इससे अच्छा रिजल्ट हम उम्मीद करते हैं और अच्छा रिजल्ट आएगा क्योंकि पब्लिक जो है देखते हैं कौन काम का है, कौन पार्टी काम का लायक है, तो इस हिसाब से वोट हमको देंगे। प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी हमेशा पब्लिक के लिए सोचते हैं और हमारा पूर्व मुख्यमंत्री भी इस तरह सोचे, हम भी इस तरह सोच रहे हैं। तो जहाँ जहाँ प्रदेश में बीजेपी सरकार है उस तरह एनडीए सरकार है, सभी जगह पब्लिक का समर्थन है। आप देखो कुछ दिन पहले 5 जगह जो इलेक्शन हुआ है, यहाँ पर 4 राज्यों में हम लोग जीते हैं आउट ऑफ 5। यहाँ भी सेम है, 4 उप निर्वाचन हुआ है बाई इलेक्शन, उसमें भी हम लोग 3 जीते हैं। तो इसी हिसाब से आप समझ रहे हो पब्लिक हमारे साथ है, जनता हमारे साथ है, सीधी सी बात है।
All right, coming back to the big story from Meghalaya, BJP leader and Minister Sanbor Shalai has tendered an apology for the episode involving Speaker and UDP Chief Metba Lindok during the visit of NDA presidential candidate Draupadi Murmu. Well, Shalai has turned the event as completely unintended and misinterpreted. Well, Shalai said that he will personally speak to Chief Minister Conrad Sangma and clarify things. The reaction comes shortly after Chief Minister Conrad Sangma indicated that action may be taken against Shalai. Now, significantly, Shalai said that the issue has been blown out of proportion and came as a rude shock to him as his own party colleague A.L. Heck tried to quote-unquote get some political mileage out of it. All right, so the Meghalaya BJP leader and Minister Sanbor Shalai has tendered an apology for the episode involving Speaker and UDP Chief Metba Lindok during the visit of NDA presidential candidate Draupadi Murmu. All right, our news editor Nabrun Goswami joins us over the phone line to give us an update on this development. Well, Nabrun, as Sanbor Shalai has tendered an apology at this point in time, and this comes just after Chief Minister Conrad Sangma has mentioned that he will be taking action against it.
Yes, Pooja, Sanbor Shalai, they are tendering an unconditional apology. Of course, he's saying that the entire incident, the entire episode has been misinterpreted. He never meant to intervene the way it has turned out to. Of course, this row has become bigger with the UDP taking action against Anwar Sulai. Basically, on the day of the visit of NDA presidential candidate Draupadi Murmu during a meeting in Shillong, when Speaker and UDP Chief Medha Lindo was pointing out or was raising some points regarding quote unquote atrocities against Christians in parts of the country. He was making a point. He urged Murmu to ensure that such incidents do not happen. Shanbor Shulai had apparently intervened immediately in a rather quote-unquote inappropriate way, stating that such incidents were not taking place. Everyone supposedly was taken aback by what had happened there, and of course we know what happened after that. The UDP has criticized today. Chief Minister Conrad Sangma said that action indicated that action may be taken against Anwar Shulai. And now we have the apology coming in. Shulai says that the entire incident was unintended and it has been completely misinterpreted. He said he'll personally speak with the CM and Speaker Medha Lindo with regards to it after his return from Kolkata, and shall extend his apology personally as well if his comments or intervention or interruption has caused any distress to anyone. But very interestingly, in the apology letter, what is also mentioned is that Shanbor Shulai says the issue has been blown out of proportion and it came as a rude shock to me as my own party colleague, El Haq, tried to get some political mileage out of it. This is a big statement, clearly once again shows the divide within the Meghalaya BJP. Mind you, Shanbor Shulai has replaced El Haq as a BJP minister in the Congress Sangma cabinet. The two never shared a good rapport as far as Haq and Shulai is concerned. Even in the past, there have been reports of a divide between Haq and Shulai. And of course, Haq and the state BJP leadership as well. These are all reports that we are quoting. And now clearly, Shanbor Shulai stating that El Haq tried to get some political mileage out of the entire incident clearly points out at the divide, the big divide within the Meghalaya BJP. Shulai also said the incident which happened within closed doors has gone on to become public, and he also clarified on the issue of atrocities against Christians that was raised apparently by UDP leader Medha Lindo. Shulai said he personally feels that the BJP cannot be held responsible for it. Besides, it was not the right platform. That is, Murmu's visit was not the right platform to bring up such a topic. But definitely, he said that he personally condemns the statement made by El Haq. Now, El Haq has been critical of the entire episode. El Haq has been critical of the entire incident that happened, and Shanbor Shulai clearly not liking it. Well, he has been very, very, in no uncertain terms, he has stated that Haq is trying to get political mileage out of it, and that has come as a rude shock to him. He says the BJP, the BJP is not anti-Christian, and so if Haq feels the other way around, then why align with the BJP? He has even gone on to mention that. So clearly the divide within the BJP, Meghalaya BJP, out in the open once again. Pooja.
All right. Thank you, Nabrun, for giving us those details at this point in time. Shifting focus now, Assam police have accessed crucial leads about radical groups making desperate attempts to expand its base in the state. It was indeed a breakthrough for the police when two persons having suspected links with radical groups were arrested from Borpeta with 3 country-made bombs. Apart from this, 4 gelatin sticks, detonators were also recovered from the arrested. Those arrested have been identified as Muqaddas Ali and Safiqul Islam. It needs to be mentioned here that Safiqul was arrested earlier for his links with radical terror group Jamaatul Mujahideen Bangladesh.
কালি আমাৰ হাতত এটা ইনফৰমেশ্যন আহিছিলে যে নিত্যানন্দ অঞ্চলত অবৈধভাৱে মিঠাতেল মজুত কৰি ৰাখিছে। এই সূত্ৰে আমি যোৱা ৰাতি আমি আটোৱাৰ ৰহমান নামৰ ব্যক্তিজনৰ ঘৰত ৰেড কৰিছিলোঁ, চাৰ্চ কৰিছিলোঁ। সেই চাৰ্চৰ টাইমত আমি 24 কাৰ্টন মিঠাতেল জব্দ কৰিছোঁ আৰু আমাৰ প্ৰাপ্ত তথ্য মতে সেইখিনি বানপীড়িত ৰাইজক যোগান ধৰাৰ বাবে চৰকাৰে প্ৰভাইড কৰিছিলে, কিন্তু অবৈধভাৱে তেওঁ মজুত ৰাখিছিলে। এই সংক্ৰান্তত আমি এটা গোচৰ ৰুজু কৰি বিহিত ব্যৱস্থা লোৱাৰ কাৰণে আগবাঢ়িছোঁ। এই ঘটনাত যিখিনি ব্যক্তি জড়িত হৈ আছে সকলোকে আমি আইনৰ আওতালৈ আনিবলৈ চেষ্টা কৰিছোঁ। আমি দুজন ব্যক্তিক আটক কৰিছোঁ, আতৱাৰ ৰহমানৰ দেউতাক আৰু তেখেতৰ ভাইক। আতৱাৰ ৰহমান আমি পুলিচ গৈ পোৱাৰ আগতে ঘৰৰ পৰা আঁতৰি গৈছে, গতিকে সোধপোছৰ বাবে তেওঁৰ পিতাক আৰু ভাইকক আনিছোঁ।
Assam's Dima Hasao district today observed a ceremonial plantation on the occasion of Haryali Saptah and the inception ceremony of Nagar Van at Veer Sambudhan Ponglo Park in Maiban. Nagar Van is a forested area which will be developed at the Veer Sambudhan Ponglo Park in Maiban. It may be mentioned here that a total of 75 Nagar Van or urban forest will be developed across the country, 3 of which will be in Assam, and out of 3, 1 in Dima Hasao's Maiban. Meanwhile, North Kachar Hills Autonomous Council Chief Executive Member Debolal Garlosa attended the ceremony. A public meeting was also held wherein every speaker, while stressing the importance of preservation and protection of forests, lauded the government for sanctioning the Nagar Van scheme in Dima Hasao. CEM Debolal Garlosa, speaking to media, appreciated the government for choosing Dima Hasao as one among the 3 in the state of Assam. He further said that public support will be required to implement such scheme in the district. And besides, District Forest Officer Tunu Langthasa, speaking to media, explains the guideline of the scheme and hoped that the scheme would benefit the people of Dima Hasao. And well, news and updates continue on Northeast Live, so stay tuned for more news. Thank you.
Railway yard where this massive landslide took place. There was a camp of the Territorial Army. There were camps of the railway. The landslide started and it came down all the way and it went down furthermore